I'm very happy to talk to you today here. I'm actually representing my colleague, Professor Jackie Glass, who will be later with us today. So some slides and issues I will refer to her, and it would be good if you can speak to her in the break later on. So the title of this talk is about making collaborative research a success, and I would like to tell you some lessons from Loughborough University. To begin with, I'm in the School of Civil and Building Engineering, and the School of Civil and Building Engineering, CBE, is one of 10 schools at Loughborough University. We are one of the largest and also longest in the UK, with like 100 years of experience. We have 70 members of academic staff, so this is just looking at the academics, not including the support staff. We have 150 researchers and more than 1,000 students just in the school alone. We are world-class in teaching and research, addressing and integrating to support the commercial needs of both industry and society. Our ethos is basically the links to industry that we have. Key part are also of our teaching with major construction companies supporting or sponsoring some of our graduates. Our students are sought after in industry, and our courses are ranked highly by students themselves, but also by independent assessors. So how do we engage with organizations? These are a number of different possibilities of how we engage with organizations, with industry. So for example, at the bottom you see the knowledge transfer partnerships, which are sort of 1 to 3 years collaborative work in order to set up a new product or to support a small, medium enterprise organization. We also have executive education and CPD, or secondments, where people from academia work in industry, or industry comes to us in order for short-term or longer-term collaboration. The most important strengths at the moment, however, are the ones you see in bold on this slide. So we have a lot of research partnerships, consultancy going on with a member of staff or even an expert team involved in less than a month of work together with an organization. We also have commercializing research in terms of product development, graduate recruitment, and engagement with taught programs and undergraduate placements. You can see that in many of our teaching degrees, we actually have industry being part of the advisory panel with, at the moment, 3 professors, visiting professors from industry working at Loughborough University. These are some of our collaborators, saying that it's not exclusive. Just maybe to tell you a couple of success stories of our work at Loughborough University. For example, the first one, Ecom, something I learned yesterday. Deborah, you probably know way more better than me about it, that the Spaghetti Junction at Birmingham is one of the longest elevated motorways in Europe. So not just in the UK, in Europe, with a length of 50 miles. I know, so that's really impressive. So
I to drive on though.
No, luckily I never did. Okay. So a project on that Spaghetti Junction, which was built in actually 71, was in collaboration with Ecom, where Canada had basically looked into something we call sacrificial corrosion. Who of you heard about that term before? No. Okay, so just to tell you quickly, that is about the steel in the construction itself, that they were testing the durability and the corrosion of that steel, and in order to prevent that steel corroding inside the construction, batteries are used in order to reverse the process, so the battery corrodes on behalf of the steel. So that is sacrificial corrosion, and that project investigated the problem actually of these batteries being stolen on a regular basis, and the worries of the companies of the effect that would have on the durability of the construction. That project was a great success story, with a person now having here a major lead position in Birmingham itself, and millions of pounds of savings towards the end. Another project, for example, in collaboration with Tesco Industries, was on the socioeconomic behavior of trying to be making that job more energy efficient. So we all know, or personally I know very well from own experience being an engineer, it's very easy to design and calculate and model something without looking actually at the needs of the people or of the user themselves. And that project tried to analyze and better understand the organizational structure and how people work, how employees deal with energy efficiency, for example, the fridging or the baking, etc. Could there be something integrated in the day-to-day life? Also, very good success story of collaborative work. Personally, I'm involved in a project at the moment with aggregate industries that looks at thermal mass and new materials, and how that can sort of be integrated in energy efficient building design. How can we model this? How efficient will it work? So we are still at the beginning, but I hope to be able to tell another success story soon about that. Also, another very interesting one is about Loughborough being one of the main sports universities itself as well, a project which is about a turf tester. So you know the problem of artificial turf in sports disciplines, and they basically developed a little device in order to test how stable or how good the turf is for a sports team to play on it. And that was used in the recent World Rugby Cup, where they basically looked for guidance on the performance of the turf. This is just to give you a feel for our activities. So basically, we have a number of different research organizations at the school. So we have the Center of Innovative and Collaborative Construction, CICE. It's an engineering doctoral training center. We have the European Construction Institute and the WEDEC, which is Water Engineering and Development Center. It's also to show you how industry is involved with us. So all these centers are very dedicated to research in terms of sustainability and construction, or the European Construction Institute is more like a platform in order to help networking between infrastructure, construction, but also designers. And WEDEC is world leading with an international reputation in water and waste and sanitation. In all these organizations, companies are involved. More than 50 have exhibited at the recent careers fair at Loughborough University, and a third of our staff, so roughly 25 in our school, are heavily active in consultancy work. So part of that work is in order to tackle the building energy performance gap. So we have, in the School of CBE, we have a group of researchers or academics that we call BRE. I'm a member of the BRE group, Building Energy Research Group. We are 11 academic staffs at the moment, with 80 to 100 PhD students working in that group. So it's very impressive. Part of it is also the London Loughborough Doctoral Training Center in collaboration with UCL at Loughborough at London. And we have access to 6 test houses and are very consultancy active. Our work is divided into 2 main groups. We look at performance measurement and building physics, and we look at modeling and optimization. So one very heavily focused on how buildings perform, including hydrothermics. We have a new test facility, which you can see on the top, in order to test the problems of wind-driven rain or air tightness in new passive house constructions. But we also have strong links to modeling in order to, for example, test new airflow or CFD models with our fish tank here on the very top bottom, where we try to simulate in real time what is going on in a tool. Very recently, and a little bit different, but also a very nice story of success, is our new Building and Industrial Services Pipework Academy, which was just established in July this year. It's a collaboration between Tata Steel, SIPSI, and Loughborough University. And it is in order to raise awareness of the use of building information modeling and pipe-related issues and problems that exist in construction. We offer CPD accredited training at Loughborough University, and that training looks at that there are lab-based workshops. So we have these test rigs in the lab with the pipe networks. We use infrared cameras in order to spot problems. And we have BIM facilities in order to also do object-oriented product modeling eventually. Another example is our free-form 3D printing with concrete. That is something that was established already 10 years ago, I believe. So it's long-term going. And one of my colleagues on the right-hand side, Richard Buswell, is one of the person leading that project. It is very successful. We are at the moment discussing for this technology to be sold, but the research will continue at Loughborough University. So this is Jackie's program, and also Shamir. Shamir is sitting here in the first row, so if I'm saying something not correctly, please interrupt me. So the action program on responsible and ethical sourcing is a research and networking program with now more than 350 members, and it's about resourcing. And I think one major activity is that you organize an annual conference every year. And Jackie has asked me to mention that to you, that the next one will take place on the 29th of November. And if you have any questions about this, please speak to Shamir and also speak to Jackie, who will join us later on. Now, our BRE students, and that's something I'm very, very pleased about. So we have a new sort of mini center for doctoral training developed in collaboration with the BRE, and that commenced in October last year. And at this moment, I would just like to ask our 5 students to stand up, please. So we have Catherine Adams on applying circular economy in buildings. We have Maddie Edgeworth. We saw her already in the little video in the beginning, on community resilience to natural hazards. We have Cecilia, I'm very sorry, Katembayeva, on traceability in the construction supply chain. Kostas Morkos on measuring and modeling overheating in domestic buildings concerned to the performance gap. And we have Stephen Sang on bringing big data into building energy modeling. Thank you very much, guys. Oh, what happened to my presentation? Did it go? Ah, there it is. I also would like to mention that there are very nice synergies we are building up. So we have these 5 PhD students, but for example, I mentioned before the engineering doctoral project on thermal mass and ICF materials with one of my students. There are now synergies going on how people can collaborate. So there are how materials and performance gap and overheating can sort of work together. So I think this is very good work, and I believe that at the next conference we we hopefully will hear more from you. Okay, so I believe this is the final slide, and it's Jackie's concept of how collaboration can work towards success. And she basically mentioned these 4 steps in the process, which means to basically start small. Yeah, so take your time, start small, and first of all, build a relationship with the company. Always have open and honest communication. So work out common interests between the industry partner and the research organization. Develop shared goals and aspiration. Bring others into the make for rounded projects. So build up then basically to bigger things. This is what we're doing with the BRE. And we are aiming for a long-term and multi-pronged relationship with multiple points of contact at both ends. Thank you very much.